People remember my son for the way he died. They speak of bright wings against the morning sky, of sunlight and ambition, of a boy who dared to touch the heavens themselves. The poets love that version. It sounds beautiful when sung beside warm fires and cups of wine. But poets were never the ones left standing on the shore afterward. They remember the fall. I remember the life. I remember the child who followed me through workshops lit by oil lamps, asking questions faster than I could answer them. The boy who stole feathers from market stalls because he thought every bird carried secrets in its wings. The laughter echoing through stone corridors long before the world learned his name. His name was Icarus, and before he became a warning, he was my son. Long before the wings, before the sea, before the sky itself stole him from me, there was Crete, a kingdom of white stone and cruel kings beneath endless Mediterranean sunlight. I was already famous then. Daedalus the inventor, Daedalus the architect, Daedalus the man who could build impossible things. Kings sent messengers across oceans seeking my designs. Priests whispered that Athena herself had touched my mind at birth. Doors opened when I entered rooms. Men envied me, rulers feared me. But genius is a dangerous thing to place in the hands of kings, because kings do not ask for beauty, they ask for obedience, and King Minos of Crete was no different. It was Minos who ordered me to build the Labyrinth. Even now, after all these years, people speak of it as though it were some marvel. They never ask what it felt like to create it. Miles of twisting corridors beneath the palace, stone passages designed to confuse the human mind itself, hallways that circled endlessly inward like a serpent devouring its own tail. No sunlight, no wind, no sky, only darkness. Minos called it genius, I called it a prison, and deep within its walls lived the creature the king wished hidden from the world, the Minotaur. There was once another boy in my workshop before Icarus, my sister's son, Perdix, brilliant beyond his years, the sort of child who saw invention hidden inside ordinary things. He looked at the spine of a fish and imagined the first saw. He watched the jaw of a serpent and imagined tools capable of cutting stone itself. He learned too quickly, and the older I became, the more I feared him for it. That is the part the poets leave out when they speak of great men. Genius does not always breed wisdom. Sometimes it breeds envy. I wish I could tell you there was some grand evil inside me that day atop the tower. There was not, only weakness, only fear. One terrible moment was all it took. A hand against a shoulder, a cry swallowed by open air, a boy falling from impossible height. But Athena showed Perdix mercy where the world would not. Before he struck the earth, she transformed him into a bird and carried him away from my shame. I was not shown the same mercy, and from that day onward, every great thing I built carried the weight of that moment within it, even the wings, especially the wings. Icarus was still young then, young enough to believe his father could build anything. While King saw weapons and prisons in my inventions, my son saw possibility. He would sit beside my workbench, watching sparks leap from bronze, while I shaped metal over open flame. Did Prometheus truly steal fire from the gods? He once asked me. I remember smiling. Children always ask the oldest questions. Yes, I told him, and Zeus chained him to a mountain for it. So the stories say. Icarus stared into the forge fire for a long moment, then quietly asked, "Was it worth it?" I looked around the workshop, at the lanterns glowing against the walls, at the tools hanging beside half-finished inventions, at the warmth pushing back the night itself. Long before I ever built wings, another soul gave mankind its first impossible gift, fire. The gods called Prometheus a traitor, but without that stolen flame, men like me would still sit in darkness. Yes, I told my son softly, I think it was. I remember the way the fire reflected in his eyes when he smiled. Gods, I remember everything. The years passed quietly after that, as quietly as years ever can beneath the rule of fearful kings. Icarus grew taller. The child became a young man with restless curiosity burning beneath his skin. He inherited my hands, always building, always reaching, always unable to leave the world untouched. But he inherited something else too, hope. That did not come from me, not anymore. I had spent too many years building wonders for men who used them cruelly. Too many years watching power rot everything it touched. But Icarus still believed the world could become something beautiful. Perhaps that was why I loved him so fiercely. He reminded me of who I had once been. The prison came later. Kings always fear the men who know too much. Minos understood eventually that no walls in Crete mattered while Daedalus still lived to reveal their secrets. So he locked us away. Father and son imprisoned high above the sea within stone towers overlooking endless water. At first I thought escape impossible. The king controlled the harbors. The soldiers watched the roads. Every ship belonged to Minos. The sea became our cage, but cages have a way of teaching desperate men to dream, and every morning birds circled the cliffs outside our prison. I watched them endlessly, the effortless rise of wings against ocean winds, the way they drifted beyond the reach of kings, free. One evening, Icarus found me gathering fallen feathers along the rocks below the tower. "What are you building?" he asked. I looked toward the horizon. Freedom. The wings took months, wood frames bent carefully by hand, feathers layered one by one, wax melted over candle flames deep into the night. I remember Icarus laughing the first time he strapped them to his arms. They'll never work. They must. And perhaps that was the moment the tragedy truly began. Not when he fell, not when he flew too high, but when hope returned to us, because hope makes the loss unbearable. The morning we escaped, the sea was calm. I still hate calm seas. The sky stretched endlessly blue above Crete, while sunlight shimmered across the water like scattered gold. For a moment, it looked like a beautiful world again. I fastened the wings carefully against Icarus's shoulders, while he grinned like a child preparing for adventure. "You must listen to me," I told him. His excitement faded slightly. "The sea below is dangerous," I said, "but the sky can be crueler still." He nodded impatiently. "Fly too low and the waves will drag you down." "I know." "Fly too high." I hesitated. The sun above us burned bright and merciless. "The wax will melt." Icarus smiled softly then. "I'll stay beside you." "Gods forgive me." I believed him. The first moments in the air felt impossible. The wind caught beneath the wings and suddenly the world fell away beneath us. Stone towers shrank, the prison vanished. The sea opened endlessly around us. Freedom, true freedom. I heard Icarus laughing somewhere beside me while sunlight poured across the ocean below. For the first time in years, I felt light enough to believe the world might still spare us. We flew for hours, over islands untouched by kings, over ships drifting far below, over waters so blue they barely seemed real, and beside me my son soared through the sky like joy itself. He had never looked more alive. Perhaps that is why the gods envied him. At first I barely noticed the change, only small things. Icarus drifting slightly higher, his turns becoming sharper, his laughter louder against the wind. "Icarus," I called. He waved dismissively. The sunlight above us grew harsher, brighter, beautiful in the terrible way only dangerous things can be. "Icarus." This time fear entered my voice. He looked back briefly and smiled, not recklessly, not arrogantly, just alive, more alive than I had ever seen him. Then he climbed higher, toward the sun. What followed lives inside me still, not as memory, as wound. I remember screaming his name across the open sky. I remember feathers breaking loose around him. I remember the horrible, uneven movement of wings beginning to fail. And worst of all, I remember the look on his face when he realized, not pride, not defiance, fear. He was only a boy, a terrified boy falling through empty sky while his father watched helplessly from too far away. Icarus! The sea rushed upward beneath him, feathers scattered across the wind like snow. Then, silence. The first boy fell from stone. The second fell from sunlight, and both names have haunted me ever since. I searched until sunset, then through the night, then into dawn. The sea returned pieces of the wings before it returned my son. I carried his body onto the shore myself. The same hands that built the wings buried him beside the water that stole him away. And somewhere beyond the horizon, the sun continued rising as though nothing had happened at all. That is the cruelty of the world. It does not stop for grief. Years have passed since that day. Kingdoms have risen and fallen. The stories have spread farther than I ever imagined. Now poets sing of Icarus as though he were a lesson, a warning against ambition. But they misunderstand him. My son did not fly too high because he was arrogant. He flew too high because for one brief moment he was free. And perhaps freedom itself is worth reaching for, no matter the cost. Even now, when evening falls and the sea grows quiet, I still sit beside the shore watching the horizon. Sometimes I swear I can still see him there, a small silhouette against golden sunlight, laughing, flying, alive. The world remembers Daedalus the inventor, the man who built impossible things. But no invention was ever my masterpiece. Not the labyrinth, not the wings, not the wonders kings paid fortunes to possess. My greatest creation was a boy named Icarus, and the sky took him from me. The sea returned his body, but it never returned my son.
History called him a genius, perhaps. But when I think of Daedalus now, I do not think of the labyrinth. I do not think of the wings. I think of a father standing beside an endless sea, looking toward the horizon and searching for a son who would never return. Before he was a genius, he was simply a father, and that may have been the greatest thing he ever was. If you enjoyed this retelling, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to Mythic Side Stories. Every myth has another side to it, another voice, another story waiting in the shadows, and next time we descend into the labyrinth itself. Until then, sleep well, my friends, stay safe, and keep the fires burning.